This is Homer's Iliad, translated into English by Robert Fitzgerald. Book 3. The Trojan squadrons, flanked by officers, drew up and sortied in a din of arms and shouting voices, wave on wave, like cranes, in clamorous lines before the face of heaven, beating away from winter's gloom and storms over the streams of ocean, hoarsely calling to bring a slaughter on the pygmy warriors, cranes at dawn descending, beaked in cruel attack. The Achaeans, for their part, came on in silence, raging under their breath, shoulder to shoulder sworn. Imagine mist the south wind rolls on hills, a blowing bane for shepherds, but for thieves, better than nightfall, mist where a man can see a stone's throw and no more. So dense the dust that clouded up from these advancing hosts as they devoured the plain. And nearer the front ranks came, till one from the Trojan front detached himself to be the first in battle. Vivid and beautiful Alexandros, wearing a cowl of leopard skin, a bow hung on his back, a long sword at his hip, with two spears capped in pointed bronze. He shook them and called out to the best men of the Argives to meet him in the melee face to face. Menelaus, watching that figure come with long strides in the clear before the others, knew him and thrilled with joy. A hungry lion that falls on heavy game, an antlered deer or a wild goat, will rend and feast upon it, even though hunters and their hounds assail him. So Menelaus thrilled when he beheld Alexandros before his eyes. He thought, "I'll cut him to bits, adulterous dog," and vaulted down from his car at once with all his gear. But when Alexandros caught sight of him emerging from the ranks, his heart misgave, and he recoiled on his companions, not to incur the deadly clash. A man who stumbles upon a viper in a mountain glen will jump aside. A trembling takes his knees, pallor his cheeks. He backs and backs away. In the same way, Alexandros paced backward into the Trojan lines and edged among them, dreading the son of Atreus. Hector watched and said in scorn, "You bad luck charm! Paris the great lover, a gallant sight! You should have no seed and died unmarried. Would to God you had! Better than living this way in dishonor, in everyone's contempt. Now they can laugh, Achaeans, who thought that you were a first-rate man, a champion, going by looks, and no backbone, no staying power is in you. Were you this way then, when you made up your crews and crossed the sea in the long ships for trafficking abroad? And when you then brought home a lovely woman from a far land, a girl already married, whose brother-in-law and husband were great soldiers? Ruin for your father and all his realm, joy for our enemies, and shame for you. Now could you not stand up to Menelaus? You'd find out what a fighting man he is, whose flower-like wife you hold. No charm would come of harping then, or Aphrodite's favors, the clean-limbed body and the flowing hair, when you lay down to make love to the dust. What slaves these Trojans are! If not, long since you might have worn a shirt of cobblestones for all the wrong you've done." The beautiful prince, Alexandros, replied to him, "Ah, Hector, This harshness is no more than just. Remember, though, your spirit's like an axe-edge whetted sharp that goes through timber when a good shipwright hews out a beam. The tool triples his power. That is the way your heart is in your breast. My own gifts are from pale gold Aphrodite. Do not taunt me for them. Glorious things the gods bestow are not to be despised, being as the gods will. Wishing will not bring them. Now, if what you want from me is fighting, make all the other Trojans and Achaeans down their arms. Let Menelaus alone and me between the lines in single combat, duel for Helen and the Spartan gold. Whoever gets the upper hand in this shall take the treasure and the woman home. Let the rest part as friends. Let's all take oath, that you may live in peace in Troy's rich land, while they make sail for Argos and its pastures, and the land of lovely womankind, Achaia. Listening, Hector felt his heart grow lighter, and down the Trojan center, with his lance held up mid-haft, he drove, calling, "Battalions, halt!" till he brought them to a stand at ease. The long-haired Achaean soldiers bent their bows, aiming with arrows and with stones, but high and clear they heard a shout from Agamemnon, "Hold on, Argives! Men, don't shoot!" This means he has in mind some proclamation. Hector, there in the flashing helmet. Archers lowered their bows, and all fell silent now, as Hector to both armies made appeal. "Hear me, Trojans, Achaeans under arms. Hear the proposal of Alexandros, because of whom this quarrel began. He asks all other Trojans and Achaean soldiers to put their arms aside upon the ground, while he and Menelaus fight it out, between the lines alone, for Helen and her Spartan gold. The winner to take the treasure home, and take the woman. The rest, with solemn oaths, depart as friends." The armies were now hushed. Across the field, Menelaus, clarion in war, addressed them. "Hear me also, as the iron enters deepest in me. Yet I agree the Trojans and Argives should withdraw in peace. You've borne so many hardships, taking part with me in the quarrel Alexandros began. So death to him for whom the hour of death has come. The rest of you, part peacefully and soon. Bring down a black ewe and a snow-white ram for sacrifice to Earth and Helios. We here shall dedicate a third to Zeus, and lead down Priam in his power, that he himself may swear to peace. Reckless, untrustworthy sons he has, but no man's overweening should break the peace of Zeus. The younger men are changeable. He, in his age among them, looking before and after, can see clearly what shall be in the interests of all." Now all hearts lifted at his words, for both sides hoped for an end of miserable war. And backing chariots into line, the men stepped out, disarmed themselves, and left their weapons heaped at close intervals on open ground. Hector, meanwhile, had sent 2 runners back to bring the sheep and summon the Lord Priam. Agamemnon at the same time dispatched Talthybius, bidding him bring a sheep as well, and he obeyed. Now Iris made her way to inform the lady Helen, appearing as her sister-in-law Laodice, loveliest of Priam's daughters, and the wife of Helical, a son of Lord Antenor. She found her weaving in the women's hall a double violet stuff, whereon, inwoven, were many passages of arms by Trojan horsemen and Achaeans mailed in bronze, trials braved for her sake, at the war god's hands. Approaching her, swift Eris said, "Come, dearest, come outside and see the marvelous change in Trojans and Achaeans. Up to now, they have made war till we were dead with weeping, war unending in the cruel plain. No more now. They are resting on their shields, each with his tall spear thrust in the earth beside him. It seems Alexandros and the great soldier Menelaus will meet in single combat with battle spears. For you, the man who wins shall win you as his consort." And the goddess, even as she spoke, infused in Helen's heart a smoky sweetness and desire for him who first had taken her as bride, and for her parents and her ancient town. Quickly she cloaked herself in silvery veils, and let a teardrop fall, and left her chamber, not unaccompanied, but, as became a princess, with two maids in waiting, one Aithra, child of Pythias, and the other wide-eyed Clymene. Soon these three women neared the Scaean gates. There Priam and his counselors were sitting, Timoetes, Panthos, Lampos, Clytios, the soldier Hiketaon, and those two clear-headed men, Antenor and Ucalegon, peers of the realm, in age strengthless at war, but strong still in their talking, perching now above the Scaean gates on the escarpment. They sounded like cicadas in dry summer that cling on leafy trees and send out voices, rhythmic and long. So droned and murmured these old leaders of the Trojans on the tower, and, watching Helen as she climbed the stair, in undertones they said to one another, "We cannot rage at her. It is no wonder that Trojans and Achaeans under arms should for so long have borne the pains of war for one like this. Unearthliness, a goddess the woman is to look at. Ah, but still, even so, being all that she is, let her go in the ships, and take her scourge from us and from our children." These were the old men's voices, but to Helen Priam called out, "Come here, dear child, sit here beside me. You shall see your one-time lord and your dear kinsman. You are not to blame. I hold the gods to blame for bringing on this war against the Achaeans to our sorrow. Come, tell me who the big man is out there. Who is that powerful figure? Other men are taller, but I never saw a soldier clean-cut as he, as royal in his bearing. He seems a kingly man." And the great beauty, Helen, replied, "Revere you as I do. I dread you too, dear father. Painful death would have been sweeter for me on that day I joined your son and left my bridal chamber, my brothers, my grown child, my childhood friends. But no death came, though I have pined and wept. Your question now, yes, I can answer it. That man is Agamemnon, son of Atreus, lord of the plains of Argos, ever both a good king and a formidable soldier, brother to the husband of a wanton, or was that life a dream?" The old man gazed and mused and softly cried, "O fortunate son of Atreus, child of destiny, O happy soul! How many sons of Achaia serve under you? In the old days once I went into the vineyard country of Phrygia, and saw the Phrygian host on nimble ponies, Oetreus's and Midon's people. In those days they were encamped on Sangarius River, and they allotted me as their ally, my place among them when the Amazons came down, those women who were fighting men. But that host never equaled this, the army of the keen-eyed men of Achaia. Still gazing out, he caught sight of Odysseus, and then the old man said, "Tell me, dear child, who is that officer? The son of Atreus stands a head taller, but this man appears to have a deeper chest and broader shoulders. His gear lies on the ground, but still he goes like a bellwether up and down the ranks. A ram I'd call him, burly, thick with fleece, keeping a flock of silvery sheep in line." And Helen, shaped by heaven, answered him, "That is Laertes' son, the great tactician Odysseus. He was bred on Ithaca, a bare and stony island, but he knows all manner of stratagems and moves in war." Antenor, the alert man, interposed, "My lady, there indeed you hit the mark. Once long ago he came here, great Odysseus, with Menelaus, came to treat of you. They were my guests, and I made friends of both, and I learned their stratagems and characters. Among us Trojans, in our gatherings, Menelaus broad in the shoulders likewise overtopped him. Seated, Odysseus looked the kinglier man. When each of them stood up to make his plea, his argument before us all, then Menelaus said a few words in a rather headlong way, but clearly, not long-winded and not vague, and indeed he was the younger of the two. Then, in his turn, the great tactician rose and stood and looked at the ground, moving the staff before him not at all forward or backward. Obstinate and slow of wit he seemed, gripping the staff. You'd say some surly fellow with an empty head. But when he launched the strong voice from his chest, and words came driving on the air as thick and fast as winter snowflakes, then Odysseus could have no mortal rival as an orator. The look of him no longer made us wonder." Observing a third figure, that of Aias, the old man asked, "Who is that other one, so massive and so strongly built? He towers head and shoulders above the Argive troops." Tall in her long gown and her silver cloak, Helen replied, "That is the giant soldier Aias, a rugged sea-wall for Achaeans. Opposite him, among the Cretans, there is tall Idomeneus, with captains round him. Menelaus, whom the war god loves, received him often in our house in Sparta when he crossed over out of Crete. I see all the Achaeans now, whom I might recognize and name for you, except for two I cannot see, the captain's caster, breaker of horses, and the boxer, Polydeuces. Both my brothers, mother bore them both. Were these not in the fleet from Lacedaemon? Or did they cross in long ships, but refrain from entering combat here because they dread vile talk of me and curses on my head?" So Helen wondered, but her brothers lay motionless in the arms of life-bestowing earth, long dead in Lacedaemon of their fathers. Meanwhile, by lane and wall the criers came, with sacrificial sheep and bearing wine, that warms the heart, gift of the vineyard ground, a goatskin ponderous with wine. And one, Idaeus, carrying golden goblets and a wine bowl, shining, reached the side of the aged king and called upon him, "Son of Laomedon, arise! The master soldiers of both armies, Trojan, breaker of horses, Achaeans mailed in bronze, request that you be present in the plain for peace offerings and oaths. Alexandros and Menelaus, whom the war god loves, will fight with battle spears over the lady. She and the treasure will go to him who wins. As for the rest, by solemn pact, thereafter in this rich land of Troy we dwell in peace, while they return to the grazing land of Argos and to Achaia, country of fair women. At this announcement by the crier, a tremor shook the old king, head to foot. He said, "Harness the team." And hastily they did so. Stepping into his car, Lord Priam took the reins and leaned back, tugging at the horses until Antenor mounted at his side. Then to the Scaean gates, and out they drove, keeping the swift team headed for the plain. They reined in at the battle line, set foot upon the open ground, once cattle pasture, and walked between the Trojans and Achaeans. Promptly Lord Agamemnon and Odysseus, master of stratagems, arose. The criers, noble retainers, brought the votive sheep, prepared the bowls of wine, and rinsed the hands of their commanders. Then the son of Atreus drew from his ship the sheath knife handing there beside his long sword scabbard. From the brows of ram and ewe he cut the fleece, and criers handed it out to officers of both armies. With arms held wide to heaven, Agamemnon prayed in the name of all. "O Father Zeus, power over Ida, greatest, most glorious, O Helios, by whom all things are seen, all overheard, O rivers, O dark earth, O powers underground, chastisers of dead men for breaking solemn oaths, be witness all. Preserve this pact we swear to. If, in fact, Alexandros should kill Lord Menelaus, let him keep Helen and keep all the gold, while we sail home in the long ships. But if Alexandros be killed, the Trojans are to surrender Helen and the treasure. Moreover, they must pay a tribute due the Argives now, renewed to their descendants. In the event that Priam and his sons refuse this, though Alexandros be killed, then I shall stay and fight for my indemnity until I come upon an end to war." He drew the pitiless bronze knife edge hard across the gullets of the sheep, and laid them quivering on the ground, their lives ebbing, lost to the wetted bronze. Now dipping up wine from the wine bowls into golden cups, the captains tipped their offerings and prayed to the gods who never die. Here's the way the Trojans and Achaeans prayed. "O Zeus, almighty and most glorious, gods undying, let any parties to this oath who first calamitously break it have their brains decanted like these wine drops on the ground. They and their children, let their wives be slaves." The oath ran so, but Zeus would not abide by what they swore. Now Dardan Priam spoke, "One word from me, O Trojans and Achaeans. For my part, back I go to the windy town of Ilion. I cannot bear to watch my son in combat against Menelaus, a man the war god stands behind. No doubt Zeus knows the end, and all the immortals know which of the two must die his fated death." He placed the carcasses of ram and ewe before him in the chariot, and stepped aboard in majesty, holding the horses while Lord Antenor climbed the royal car. Then, circling back, they drove toward Ilion. Prince Hector and Odysseus together paced off the dueling ground. Next, they took up 2 tokens in a bronze helm, shaking it to see which man would cast his weapon first. Meanwhile, the soldiers held their hands to heaven, Trojans and Achaeans, in this prayer. "Father Zeus, almighty over Ida, May he who brought this trouble on both sides perish. Let him waste away into the undergloom. As for ourselves, let us be loyal friends in peace. They prayed, as powerful Hector in his flashing helmet, keeping his eyes averted, churned the tokens. That of Paris is quickly tumbled out. And now, holding their lines, the troops sank down, each one beside his horses and his gear. The time had come, and Prince Alexandros, consort of Helen, buckled on his armor. First the greaves, well molded to his shins, with silver ankle circlets. Then around his chest the cuirass of his brother Lycaon, a good fit for him. He slung a sword of bronze with silver-studded hilt by a baldric on his shoulder. Over this a shield strap and the many-layered shield. Then drew a helmet with a horsetail crest upon his head, upon his gallant brow, the tall plume like a wave crest grimly tossing. He picked out, finally, a solid spear with his own hand grip. Meanwhile, the great soldier Menelaus put on his own equipment. Armed now, each in his place apart, both men walked forward in the space between the armies, glaring at one another. Fierce excitement ran through all who gazed, horse-breaking Trojans, Achaeans in leg armor, as the champions came to a stand inside the dueling ground and hefted spears in rage. Without delay, Alexandros opened the fight. He hurled his long shadowing spear and his Atreides fair on the round shield. Nothing brazen broke, no, but the point of bronze at impact bent in that hard armor. Second to make his cast, and rousing to it with his bronze-shod spear, the son of Atreus, Menelaus, prayed to Father Zeus. O Zeus aloft, grant that I shall make the man who wronged me first pay for it now. Let him be humbled, brought down at my hands, and hearts in those born after us will shrink from treachery to a host who offers love. Hefting and aiming as he spoke, he hurled his long shadowing spear and hit his adversary fair on the round shield. Formidably sped, the spear went through the polished hide and through the densely plaited cuirass, where it ripped the shirt forward along his flank and stuck. But Paris, twisting, had eluded death. Drawing his longsword then, Lord Menelaus reared and struck him on the helmet ridge, but saw his blade, broken in jagged splinters, drop from his hand. Lifting his eyes to heaven, he groaned, "O Father Zeus, of all the gods, none is more cruel to hopeful men than you are. I thought to make Alexandros pay for his crime, and what luck have I had? My spear slipped from my grip in vain, I missed him, and now my sword is shattered in my hand." But now in one bound, pouncing, he laid a hold of the horsetail crest and spun his enemy, then yanked him backward toward the Achaean lines, choking by the chin strap, cutting into his throat, a well-stitched band secured beneath his helmet. To his own glory, Menelaus would in fact have pulled him all the way, had Aphrodite with her clear eye not perceived him, and she snapped that band of oxhide, cut from a clubbed ox. Now at this, the helmet came away easily in the fighter's hand. He whirled it round his head and let it fly amid the Achaeans, where his own men caught it. And once again, raging to kill his man, he lunged, aiming a lance. But this time, Aphrodite spirited Alexandros away as easily as only a god could do. She hid him in mist and put him down in his own fragrant chamber, while she herself went off to summon Helen. She came upon her on the battlements amid a throng of Trojan ladies. Here the goddess plucked at a fold of her sweet-scented gown and spoke to her. She seemed a spinning woman who once had spun soft wool for her at home in Lacedaemon, and the princess loved her. In this guise, ravishing Aphrodite said, "Come home with me. Alexandros invites you. On the ivory inlaid bed in your bedchamber he lies at ease and freshly dressed, so handsome, never could you imagine the man came just now from combat. One would say he goes to grace a dance, or has until this minute danced, and is resting now." So she described him, and Helen's heart beat faster in her breast. Her sense being quickened so, through all disguise she recognized the goddess's flawless throat, her fine breasts that moved the sighs of longing, her brilliant eyes. She called her by her name in wonder, saying, "Oh, immortal madness, why do you have this craving to seduce me? Am I to be transported even farther eastward, into some Phrygian walled town, or into Maeonia, if you have there another mortal friend? Is it because Menelaus has beaten Alexandros, and, hated though I am, would take me home? Is that why you are here in all your cunning? Go take your place beside Alexandros, leave the bright paths the gods take over heaven, and walk no more about Olympus. Be unhappy for him, shield him till at last he marries you, or as he will, enslaves you. I shall not join him there. It would be base if I should make his bed luxurious now. There will be such whispering among the Trojan women later, as though I had not pain enough to bear." To this the goddess haughtily replied, "Better not be so difficult. You'll vex me enough to let you go. Then I shall hate you as I have cherished you till now. Moreover, I can make hatred for you grow amid both Trojans and Danaans. And if I do, you'll come to a bad end." Now Helen, shaped by heaven, was afraid. Enfolded in her shining robe of silver, she turned to go, without a word, unseen by all the women, for the goddess led her. Entering Alexandros's magnificent house, the maids went quickly to their work, and Helen mounted to her high chamber. Aphrodite, who smiles on smiling love, brought her a chair, and set it down facing Alexandros. Helen, daughter of Zeus beyond the storm cloud, took her seat with downcast eyes and greeted him. "Home from war? You should have perished there, brought down by that strong soldier, once my husband. You used to say that you were the better man, more skillful with your hands, your spear. So why not challenge him to fight again?" "I wouldn't, if I were you. No, don't go back to war against the tawny-headed man of war like a rash fool. You'll crumple under his lance." Paris replied, "Love, don't be bitter with me. These are unkind reflections. It is true, on this occasion he and Athena won. Next time, I may. We too have gods with us. Let us drop war now, you and I, and give ourselves to pleasure in our bed. My soul was never so possessed by longing, not even when I took you first aboard of off Lacedaemon, the sweet land, and sailed in the long ships. Not at Cranae Island, where I first went to bed with you and loved you. Greater desire now lifts me like a tide." He went to bed, and she with him, and in the inlaid ivory bed these two made love, while Menelaus roamed the ranks like a wild beast, hunting the godlike man Alexandros. But not a Trojan there, not one of all the allies could produce him for the war god's friend Menelaus. and none for love would ever hide him if he saw him, the man being abhorred like death itself. Now the Lord Marshal Agamemnon spoke amid the armies. Give me your attention, Trojans, Dardans, and allies. Beyond question, Menelaus is victorious. Therefore, Helen of Argos and the treasure are now to be surrendered. You must pay tribute as well, the compensation due, payable too, in future generations. And to this judgment of the son of Atreus, the rest of the Achaeans gave assent.